I'm Pat Doris. Welcome to The Story. Welcome to Friday and to St. Patrick's Day, one of my favorite days of the year. Tonight, one of the biggest changes to Oregon land use law in years is making its way through the legislature. Senate Bill 4 hopes to clear the red tape and restrictions that have kept large semiconductor companies from picking Oregon for their next expansion. But with billions of federal dollars being offered for chip expansion, someone's going to go somewhere, so why not here? That's our big story tonight. Senate Bill 4 made it out of the committee of its birth 2 days ago. It's now in the Ways and Means Committee, which deals with all things money related, and this one does have a bunch of money tied to it. But before your eyes start to glaze over, let me point this thing out. The bill gives Governor Tina Kotek a superpower of sorts to decide what plots of land outside the urban growth boundary can be moved inside and then built on. It would be reserved for the semiconductor industry. Until now, the state has held pretty much zero locations that are big expansion spots for big companies. The idea is to change that and to grow Oregon's silicon forest. Let's take a look at the bill and meet the lawmakers behind it. First, here's a broad brush of the details. According to the latest amendments, Senate Bill 4 creates a fund of $210 million. $200 million of that is available for businesses that are going to apply for federal CHIPS Act money. $10 million will go to innovation programs at universities. Companies can apply for grants or loans of up to $50 million. For every $1 million they get, they must commit to a certain number of jobs created, and 65% of the jobs have to be permanent and paying at least the median income for their location, or the companies have to generate at least $1.25 million in state and local taxes. So there's a big pot of money, of state tax money, to entice companies to expand their semiconductor-related plants in Oregon. But wait, there's more. Oregon has what seems like a bajillion land use laws, and they seem designed to slow everything way down, which is probably a good thing most of the time. But lawmakers know that chip companies are in a hurry now to find land and grab a bunch of that federal billions being offered for their expansion. So they want Oregon to be able to move fast if necessary. And that's why they're giving Oregon Governor Tina Kotek a superpower. According to the latest amendments, the governor will have the power to issue an executive order and move a plot of land that's outside the urban growth boundary now into the boundary. That boundary is what limits growth on the outside edges of cities and towns. She'll be able to do that with up to 8 sites, 2 that are any size as long as they're bigger than 500 acres, and then 6 that are up to 500 acres. The governor must hold one public meeting near the site before bringing it into the urban growth boundary and take comments for 20 days. I think this is a huge deal. I'm pretty sure it's the first time in Oregon history that the governor has been given a superpower to change part of the urban growth boundary. But I do understand the need. Going through a normal process is probably going to take way too long. But those who love open land and farmland are furious at the implications. The possibility that protected farmland could be changed into a setting for a semiconductor plant just makes them crazy. So, who's behind this? Well, in the legislature, it's Democrats who control both chambers and the governor's office. 2 lawmakers with high-tech backgrounds have steered this joint committee which created the bill. They are Representatives Janelle Bynum and Senator Janine Solomon.
So I am trained as an electrical engineer. I spent time at General Motors for 6 years in product engineering. And I'm also a business owner. So I understand the needs of having a supply chain, a talented workforce, and overall economic investment that will help us move forward for the next 20 to 50 years.
I have worked for a STEM-related education software company for 25 years in Washington County. I'm a former school board member in Hillsborough for 8 years. I am the current, current state lead for the National Caucus of Environmental Leaders. I'm a mom, and I'm a Mima, and I care about the future of our state.
The Joint Committee heard hours of testimony from experts in the semiconductor world and business development folks who want them to do everything possible to lure new companies to Oregon. They also heard from farmers and others who did not want the urban growth boundary messed with. So, what is it that the big companies are looking for?
who has the sites in Oregon that really looked at the 2-hour window from the Portland airport, who was in the area of the cluster, the supply chain, where the talent and workforce was because of that cluster. And then we knew that we were going to have to come into this and really look at all corners of the state. And I think it's opened our eyes to making sure that we're looking at those next steps of site readiness. Where in our state do we have that industrial land? And also making sure that we really address being open to business and allowing them to come to an area where they know their supply chain exists.
So that set of criteria shows you why they didn't really think about every corner of the state. They thought about every place that was a 2-hour drive from the Portland airport, which does make sense. If a big company has a lot of people coming and going, they don't want them to have to drive forever to reach the airport. Senator Solomon said there are several smaller sites that were also identified as possible spots for companies and that they are now inside the urban growth boundary. But to find those really big sites, they had to look outside. Representative Bynum said despite the governor's superpower, land will not be taken from a farmer who does not want to sell.
Not to my knowledge, but I don't know why a company would do that. It's not competitive at that point. And I think here's the point that is really important. Oregon is competing with other states. And so if we don't have the land or the site, they can go somewhere else. Our goal is to make Oregon attractive, building on what we already have. So excellent educational institutions, excellent workforce, an ecosystem for the supply chain that already exists. Land is not our competitive advantage in this equation. All of the other things are. So if people want land really quick, fast, and easy, it's probably going to be in another state.
Both leaders said they still want more new laws and incentives to help boost the semiconductor industry here. Biden wants more money for college programs that will prepare students to work in high tech and more money to lure black and brown kids who grow up in Oregon to return from their out-of-state colleges and work here in the high tech businesses. Solomon wants more tax incentives and enterprise zones and funding for tech in schools. I'm told the bill should sail through Ways and Means and then be voted on by the House and Senate relatively soon. We'll keep an eye on that and let you know what happens. In the meantime, what do you think about Senate Bill 4? Are you glad the state is finally moving quickly to try and boost the Silicon Forest? Is it too little, too late, or is it an awful land grab? Send me your thoughts. Let me know. Our email address is thestory@kgw.com or call and leave a voicemail 503-226-5090. Speaking of comments, many of you wrote in last night to share your thoughts on the pausing of the electric vehicle rebate program in Oregon. It's being halted May 1st because the program is so darn popular it's running out of money. The Oregon rebate ranged from $250 up to $5,000, and that's on top of the federal rebates. Some of you think the state should offer more money. Eugene wrote in to say, $12 million for rebates is all Oregon's clean air is worth? Obviously, that won't put a dent in air quality if used up. Obviously, Oregon doesn't take clean air seriously, but is tossing $12 million out as a window dressing for addressing climate change. Oregon is a multi-billion economy and can afford as many rebates as it takes to get every car owner to go clean and buy a hybrid or electric vehicle. Tom says, somebody tell the manufacturers to charge less and people will buy more. Kenny writes, I think we should tax internal combustion vehicles like most European countries do. Waive the tax on EV. As a result, over 85% of new car sales in Norway are EV. That tax could boost EV charging station availability or fund rebate programs for EVs while further encouraging people to choose EVs. And Bud is our final comment, wrapping it up with, just curious, how am I going to pull my 30-foot trailer with an electric car? Are they going to offer vehicles with the ability to do this? I don't know, Bud, but it's a good question. Thanks to all of you who wrote in and called in to share your thoughts on the EV rebates. Now to a report that says Biketown is not living up to its name. PBOT says bicycle ridership is way down across Portland. Let's bring in Evan Watson, who's been on top of this story. Evan, Portland's put a lot of time and money into making this city more bike friendly. So what's going on? Why have the numbers dropped off?
Yeah, Pat, it could be related to pandemic effects, work from home culture, less people getting out on the roads. Also, public safety is something I heard when talking around to different people who ride their bikes today, whether that's what's happening on the bike paths or aggressive drivers, for example. But ultimately, this PBOT report doesn't lay out why ridership is down, just that it's undeniably lower than it was of a peak around 2015. For some statistics and data here, PBOT reports about a 40 to 45% decrease in bicycle ridership over the last 6 years, majority of that coming over the last 3 years compared to 2019 to 2022. And this also goes to say Portland set that goal of 25% of work commuters to be able to ride their bike to work instead of drive or other methods in the future. Well, the census data shows that we were about 7% for people riding their bike to work to commute a few years back. This latest report has Portland all the way down to around 2.8%. So going the opposite way, and the bicycle advocates I talked to today say, hey, that's concerning and that's frustrating for them.
Yeah, I would think so. You had a lot of stats in there, but the biggest one was it's down 40%. Really?
40% from around 2016 to now, down about 35% from 2019 to now. A large portion of that, I will say, looking at the census data, is related to all over different kinds of transit types, because a lot of people aren't commuting as much. They're working from home, and that has been shot up huge in the last couple of years. But the bicycle ridership and the survey that they conducted throughout the city of Portland shows that trends are changing here in the city.
Yeah, I wonder if we can still hang on to our moniker of Bike Town.
We maybe can. They say that this is something that they've seen across other cities across the country. And I should say, too, that weather plays a big part in this. We've been out here today, and it's been absolutely lovely. A lot of people are riding their bikes around. But still, the way that they conduct this survey, they put people to count all across the city, and they look at how many people are riding their bikes, and they extrapolate that data out for a daily bike count. And then additionally, one other factor I wanted to mention is that in this report, the number of people at the counters identified as women riding their bikes is also down, which PBOT says is often correlated with research showing that public safety, or whether the bike paths are viewed or perceived to be a safe place to go, to be a nice place to ride. So that's something to look at in the future as well.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Thank you, Evan Watson. Great stuff as always.
Thanks, Pat.
Oregon is getting closer and closer to allowing legal use of magic mushrooms.
I've healed from my own personal traumas using psilocybin.
Now we're meeting some of the people who will one day be giving them to patients.
It's not really just about the medicine itself, it's about the cultivating the entire experience.
When the story returns.
Some Oregon students are graduating from a program that will eventually allow them to legally facilitate doses of magic mushrooms. It's the first in the country, and the focus is on healing. Alma McCarty reports.
In a peaceful wooded place, a campus outside Portland, students prepare to complete a 6-month intensive program, a necessary step on their journey to become the first of their kind, licensed psilocybin facilitators.
These graduates will be stepping into a brand new profession here in Oregon that we've laid out through Measure 109.
The weight of all this is clear.
It's not something that's been done anywhere in the world, so there's going to be lots for us to learn.
It's surreal. It's really incredible.
I'm moving forward just with an immense amount of humility and also carrying a lot of responsibility, I think, in terms of being the first students out.
Tom Eckert, architect and chief petitioner of Measure 109, runs Intertrek, one of several state-approved psilocybin training programs.
An intensive program. It includes in-person intensives, it includes online training, home groups, practicum. So it's really A to Z what it means to become a facilitator.
People feel safe to let go into an experience if they feel that the container is well supported.
Gina Grazza, a licensed therapist, works as a lead educator here, instructing future facilitators on how to administer magic mushrooms. Researchers believe psilocybin can help address anxiety, depression, and PTSD.
This is a little different than the recreational use one might do. People are coming in intentionally with the purpose of going inward. And that might look like eye shades and headphones with the music. It might be an individual session. It might be a group therapy session. This is a different kind of orchestrated experience.
The process doesn't end here. Graduates will take an exam, then apply and pay for a facilitator license.
We knew that there would be lots of applications coming in and that there might be some delays. And so we do think we're getting closer to licensing.
Angie Albee, who leads the psilocybin services section, a part of OHA, explains there are 4 license types: for businesses producing the mushroom, for labs testing the product, for service centers administering psilocybin, and for the facilitators working with the clients.
We have received 8 facilitator applications that have been submitted for our review, and we can see 118 facilitator applications pending in our system.
Intertrek graduates Scott and Catherine Close and Tracy Townsend believe it will be worth the wait.
It's not a miracle. It still takes a lot of work, but there's great successes that are happening in ways that other things aren't working.
I've healed from my own personal traumas using psilocybin, and also it's helped to wake up creativity and help me think in new ways.
It's not really just about the medicine itself, it's about the cultivating the entire experience, the setting, the intention around the experience of journeying with the medicine.
Alma McCarty.
Alma McCarty, KGW News. Fascinating story we'll be watching. All right, still ahead, affordable housing and a new pitch to tackle the crisis. It involves a concept you're probably familiar with, renting out a spare bedroom in your home. We'll talk about it and how to tackle safety concerns when we come back. When it comes to trying to solve homelessness and the housing crisis, local and state leaders have taken a lot of different approaches throughout the years. There's been an effort to build a lot more new homes. There's transitional housing like tiny home villages. And there are the big homeless camps that the city of Portland is working to get off the ground. But there's also another solution being proposed that doesn't require any new building, very little money, and a lot less red tape. It's an old concept, home sharing, basically renting out unused bedrooms in your home. The nonprofit Home Sharing Oregon is working to match people who have spare rooms, who may need help paying their mortgage, with people who need affordable housing. They stopped by to talk about it on Straight Talk this week.
Our clients usually are women over the age of 50, and many of them have experienced the death of a spouse or divorce. They're working, but they're trying to figure out a way to, at some point in time, be able to retire. And they're also, if they have children, they've aged out and gone to college, many of them. And they're really, looking for a way to build some financial resilience and then also to have some companionship. And so for our organization, a lot of it is we provide people with a free technology application that does compatibility matching for homeowners and housemates and homeowners. And then we also provide free background screens. We provide free home sharing agreements. And for people who want additional assistance, and this is mainly our seniors who want additional assistance, we provide them with case management services. We help them utilize the technology. We help them secure their match and find the person that is most conducive for them. We walk them through the process really well, and if they're not located in one of the areas where we have an employee, we find a volunteer to help them do this.
Can one of you speak to safety? Because I think a lot of people will hear this and think, well, I can't let a stranger live in my house, even with matching. Did you ever, James, have any concerns about safety?
Yeah, I think everybody has to be concerned about that, and you have to make sure the people you let in your home are the right fit for you, and especially at your stage of life, and depending on who else is at home. The population test was talking about senior women. They're very desirous to have somebody around for company, but it's really important to make sure that they're really comfortable with the person. Tessa's program has great background checks and home sharing agreements that go into place. So if there ever are any troubles, there's an agreement to help arbitrate that. Things like that. So I think you have to be really conscious of exactly who it is I want in my home. And there's a large demand for affordable housing right now. So homeowners are in a great situation to be kind of picky about who they want to come in and make sure it's a really good fit for them, for their lifestyle, for political choices, dietary choices. Do they want dogs? Do they not want dogs? Do they want sponges or dish towels? those
That's
those
a big
kind of
one
things.
with some of our seniors.
Yeah. So you have a lot of good choices.
Interesting concept. HomeShare Oregon is now working on a bill that would let homeowners pocket the rent they make without having to pay taxes on it if they rent out their rooms at an affordable rate. You can check out the entire conversation tonight on KGW at 7 and on our KGW YouTube channel and KGW Plus. All right, keep sending your questions and comments to thestory@kgw.com. We're going to wrap things up right after this. Welcome back. I know that you're busy, so maybe you missed one of our shows this week. No problem. If you have a Roku or Amazon Fire, you can always watch today's show plus previous shows and segments anytime you want. Just go to your Roku or Fire homepage and add KGW Plus to your home screen. Check it out. And of course, we'd love to know what you think about it. Finally tonight, have you adjusted yet to the time change this week? Have your kids? We got a lot of response earlier this week when we asked you if the practice of changing clocks twice a year should be abolished. A lot of you agreed, yes, it should. As for which way we should go, though, well, permanent daylight savings or permanent standard, you're a little bit more split on that one. Sorry says permanent daylight saving time, writing winter is gloomy enough. We go to work and school in the dark anyway, might as well have some light to come home to. And Rob agreed, saying sunrise at 4:30 is nuts and a waste of sunlight. If we must go a year long, then it has to be daylight savings time. But Connie had a different take, writing, here in Eastern Oregon, we would prefer to standard time to daylight savings time because it gets exceedingly hot quickly in June through September. And Eric remembered when we tried this all before, writing, the U.S. tried DST year-round in 74 and 75. While the majority was in favor of the change, it took just one winter for that majority opinion to reverse, and we're back to changing our clocks. Thank you, Eric, and everyone else. Let us know what you think about daylight saving time or any of our other stories. You can email us anytime, thestory@kgw.com, or call and leave a voicemail. The number is 503-226-5090. Hey, that's the end of our show. Thanks so much for watching. And remember, the story, our story, well, that never ends. I hope you have a great weekend. I'll see you Monday.
This is KGW.